So, and we're rolling and we're live.
Yeah.
So to make sure that you're in the frame. So, awesome.
Should I like move the chair forward? Should we go?
I know, I think. How do you like interview? Is it popping? Is it like...
Okay. Wait, we look.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yes. Amazing.
I
feel like...
Should I look here? Should I look here?
Oh, look. Amazing. Just look at the camera if you're answering that question. I assume we're talking to like a
Okay.
group of students or...
Okay.
or
You here? You better learn shit. Okay.
okay. So... Hi, my name is Tabitha Rwanda and welcome to Interesting. So today is another one of those videos for developer stories, and I'm talking to an upcoming software developer. Her name is
Christine Wasike. Hi guys.
Yep, popularly known as Wasike. Fun fact, I knew her from Instagram because she would like a lot of my STEM posts, and I was like, you know, I know those people. I know the people who support the STEM journey. Keep up. And then we met at an event, and the rest is history, and she's now doing this interview. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Tabitha.
Awesome. So, how would you describe yourself as a dev or as a person? Tell us more about who Wasike is.
Okay. So let me start with as a person. I feel like I'm musically inclined. I think I mention this almost all the time when talking about myself. I love playing this instrument called the clarinet. And big reference to SpongeBob. For those guys who watch SpongeBob, there's this character called Squidward. He plays that instrument. So in case you want to know what that is, that's what the clarinet is. I love it so much. And on the technical side, I'd say I'm mid-level software developer. So I'm not exactly at beginner's stage. I do have the basics, and I'm growing to learn even more. As a developer, it's always a learning journey. Like lifelong learner is like the motto, always the mantra. So yeah, I currently focus on mobile development. That's my area of expertise.
Awesome. Now that you're in mobile development, what are some of the languages that you use for that?
So when I started off, I did a lot of Java. So Java is a very statically typed language, meaning that there is a lot in terms of how much code you need to write to put out a certain function. It could be something small, but the amount of stuff you write is a lot. So recently I've been doing transitions to Kotlin, and it's by far one of the most beautiful languages I can say I've ever used, just to put it simply, because you're able to achieve a lot more with less. It's effective, it's efficient, and it gets your planning a lot better. Yeah, so let me give an instance where I have a Java file that was about 150 files. I can boil that down to about 54 lines of code in Kotlin, which is super amazing. So that's where my focus has been, and love it.
Amazing. Yes. Could you tell us about some of the apps that you built yourself?
Wow, so let me start with the most recent ones that I've been building here in MOOC. So the one I'm currently working on is a MOOC merchant dashboard. So should I give some background about MOOC?
Awesome, yeah.
So MOOC is basically, it's a ticketing company based in Kenya. So if you have events, if you're an event organizer and you want to push your event, MOOC is one of the best platforms to use. So as a merchant, you have the option of uploading your tickets to an event. You can upload music, mostly Kenyan music. Like that's one of the things that is being heavily supported by MOOC. And writing. So if you have ebooks you want to put out there, MOOC is a platform for it. So on the MOOC dashboard, I'm able to manage or be able to build up a system or an app where you can do all the uploads, get to view your stats. So if you have sales for an event, you're able to see all that information. You get to know how many people have signed up for this event, how many tickets have gone out, and you can also send out complimentary tickets. Yeah, basically. So it's been exciting. A lot of learning, and mostly because I'm using Kotlin, so I'm relatively new to it, and being able to integrate it in what I'm building helps a lot more. So just a quick tip, the best way to learn a programming language is by actually building something with it. So that was one of my challenges for this last month and a half. Yeah. The other upper blockchain is a QR scanning app. So basically, when you sign up to be a merchant or an event organizer on the MOOC platform, you have the option of getting the scanning app. So this is what agents at the door can use to scan your event, the ticket for your event attendees. And basically what it does is that it validates the ticket that you get upon purchasing a ticket. So don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Kind of, it does. Mm-hmm. Is it the one that we used at the
element?
Oh yeah.
So there was an event that took place, I think it was a week or two ago.
Yeah.
So it's really fun and exciting to be able to actually see some of the things you're building being used out there. Like, it gives you motivation and hope that this is actually making sense, and you're able to get direct feedback and get to see what you can do to improve it, and it's very exciting.
Yeah. I could tell she was really excited when I met her at the event, and she was like, I built the app that you guys use to buy your tickets, and I was like, I have to have you on Interstem just to tell people some of the amazing things that you do.
I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful. So you're currently a computer science student at ALU, African Leadership University in Rwanda. Could you tell us about your experience there? Because this is Interstem, I hate to be the one to break it down, but could you start with your academic experience and then we could delve into some of your social life?
Of course. So, fun fact is that I am a prospective computer science student. So that means that I haven't yet gone into the field, and that's what I'll be doing in September. How African Leadership University works is the first year is leadership course. So basically building up 21st century skills all across, regardless of what course you choose to major in. So that's how we do things like soft skills, how do you interact with people, and then a bit of hard skills like how do you deal with things like databases or data, and just other aspects of you as a leader, such as being entrepreneurial minded in whatever field you choose to be in. So other than that, I have delved a lot more into just understanding what the course entails. Computer science will entail. There is a lot of programming involved. There are things like data structures and algorithms that you need to really pay close attention to. I've been reaching out to my facilitators to get some insights about it. But it's definitely a course that I would recommend if you hope to pursue computer science in a more practical and hands-on level. Studying it at AU is a place to do. Yeah.
I'm paying you for the publicity. But you do a good job though.
I know. Yeah. So, other than that, I guess more about my academic background would have to be in Moringa. So I studied in Moringa school. That was in 2017. I joined as cohort 4. That was in around May. I still remember 22nd. I graduated in November. So I did prep. Prep is like a 5-week course, then the core, which was a lot longer. Then upon graduating, they offered me a job there. So I worked as a curriculum engineer. It was basically coming up with some of the content that's currently being used by the students. So it was a really fun and insightful experience and journey for me, and I got to learn a lot of what I know here, and just super happy that whatever I built out is impactful to the guys there, and it's just, there's a lot going into it, so I really love it.
You are actually more impressive than I thought you would be. Legit, I knew you are like full of skills and talent, but the more I speak to you, the more I'm like, oh wow, like this is amazing. She was building a curriculum before joining college to study computer science. Take that, universe. Okay. I have to be your hype man. I just have to.
It's okay. I like it.
So, I understand that ALU has a very unique sort of system of teaching. I mean, you're spending your whole first year learning on how to become a better leader. I think that's an excellent foundation to have. Could we talk about something I think you and I have in common, which is the types of interactions that you'll have with your facilitators or your professors to help you succeed. Because I know a lot of the times student-professor relationships may have a negative connotation where you feel like your professor doesn't want you to succeed, or the person training you has like a bias towards you.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about how you leverage that relationship.
Alright, so one of the things that ALU has taken advantage of mostly is the fact that it's a blended classroom learning model. What that basically means is that for our system there are 4 class structures per se. So the first one is called discovery. So this is when everybody comes to class, including the facilitator and the fresh. There's a topic that's been laid out and you guys just told to go research on it, read about it, and come share the thoughts you have on it. Like it may be, say, let's speak about empathy today. As an entrepreneurial leader, what does empathy mean to you? Does that mean understanding the environment around you? And just basically you get to interact as a classroom, share material on it, do activities, like the all these things that build up to just ensuring that the knowledge is actually felt in a sense that you relate with it. Then the next is called self-work. So that is now when you go back, most of the content is on, and actually all the content is on then. So we have a portal where you get access to some of the things you're meant to do for the week. You get to go through it, do your assignments, and then there's the third stage is a peer work. So now that you've done your self-work, what will you do as a peer group? So this is basically the group work that you come together to do. So say you need to come up with a presentation that speaks more about coming up with a new expansion strategy for Kenya Airways, or opening up a new route in Africa. So how do you do such stuff? So it's a lot of interesting hands-on things, actually solving problems coming up with solutions to existing problems in Africa and I guess across the world. So it's really fun. Then the 4th stage is class. So now that you've done all this, let's all come back and have a retrospective of what you've learned. Probably have a few presentations where guys get to share what they've come up with, have each other critique it, have facilitators chip in, but basically ensure the concept is grasped and understood by everybody. So as you can see, there are different learning styles. There's being able to learn on your own as a group and being able to share and discuss with the facilitator.
Okay, so now that we've talked about your experience with your facilitators and them really wanting to support your journey, who do you have as a mentor who has really supported your journey and their presence has been pivotal to where you are today?
Wow. So let me see. That's a very interesting question. So I do have a couple of people who I look up to and who are open to supporting me in my journey, and I've been able to gather them along the way. It wouldn't be one person per se, but I'll just mention a few and what they've done that's impacted me and what they still continue to do. So first, there are my guys from Rwanda. So I had a manager who's called Emunene. He was the person I directly reported to, and he was a lead curriculum developer. Currently he's in Andela doing the same thing, and he's really the person who's taught me that knowledge is best had, or you retain more by giving out. So in terms of being able to write out curriculum, put me in a situation where I was like, so if I'm able to code this, how do I write curriculum or content in such a way that the next person reading it actually benefits from it? And to make it interesting is that I was working on this project for students in high school. So in Kenya, there's I don't know if there's there isn't much exposure on students to software engineering. They know more about medicine, they know more about all these different courses, but when it comes to software engineering, it's more like a question mark. So it was more like, how do we make this content accessible to students in high school? So there's this program called Spock that I spearheaded, where I was able to write curriculum for students between the ages of 13 to 18 years. So making it interesting, making it exciting, gamifying it in such a way that if they're learning about HTML, CSS, and JS, it's something that's interesting and exciting to them because they're able to see results and they're able to relate with it. So he taught me a lot of being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, and that's what I've been able to carry along with me even now. Yeah, then I think on the you said, I do have a couple, but there is one who recently became a mentor. We hadn't conversed much, but he is a really brilliant facilitator. Was a facilitator. Funny story, he's now in Moringa.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, he was a computer science facilitator and he's called Mehdi. So Mehdi is a Moroccan and he had experience working in Amazon, and he gave me a couple of tips in terms of what I need to have or what I need to prepare myself when going in for this year. That's the computer science course. So there's a lot in terms of being self-disciplined and being your driver, if that makes sense. Basically, it's more like, how do I trust that I will do the best that I can with the resources I have and what is in me, and that is to learn. So he helped me realize that. We had a conversation once and it was just amazing getting to know that some of the challenges I do experience, some of the challenges I face in my internship, but the same things that he went through when he was doing his internship, and what are some of the learning opportunities he's been able to get off of that. So those are some of the things that I feel really touch base with me, and I do appreciate so much.
Wonderful. Now that we're on the subject of mentors, there's obviously a difference between a student who learns online, just like by themselves, figuring it out, and a student who goes to a classroom where there's a bunch of other students. Could you talk about the impact of peer mentoring or just having peer advisors? Because I know Moringa allows for that a lot, especially when you're, what's that thing called? Pair programming? Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, pair programming is actually quite an interesting topic, mostly because you have the driver, you have the navigator. So this is where you as students are both on the journey of learning, and you may be at different levels, but you do have this one thing that you're driving towards doing, and that's learning a certain concept. So being able to realize and understand that by me being in this role of navigating, so how do I give out instructions, how do I direct the person who is writing the code in such a way that it makes sense to them and it makes sense to me, through reading it, through sharing it, I'm able to implement it, and once in a while switch up those roles. So I think peer mentoring is very important, and it cuts across other fields as well. Like you could be working on a marketing strategy, or you could be putting up a poster and you want to understand how to use tools like Canva that help you to edit, and you may not exactly be the best at it, but being able to be in a group of people where you have all these different skills sort of helps you learn more. So it's more about choosing to learn a new skill rather than choosing to just stick with what you know, because there's always that mentality of like, I'm good at this, so let me stick with it and do it to the best of my ability, which is great, but there's also that aspect of why not challenge myself to learn this through this person who knows more about it, and that helps you grow, I think, holistically, and it just makes you a lot better as a being.
That is so true. Like, you grow through sharing. Information is only valuable when it's shared. If you stick with it, it's only valuable to you.
True.
Yeah. So you study abroad. Rwanda is abroad.
Yes, guys.
What would you say being in a different culture or being around different people, because ALU is an international school, how has that diversity strengthened your outlook as a developer?
Okay. So I'll start with Rwanda, then I'll go into ALU. So Rwanda is one of those countries where you land and you're like, wow. It's really clean, it's really peaceful. Like, I just love looking outside the window, just looking around. Like, Kigali is one of those cities where it seems like there's not much happening, but there's actually this soft buzz that's just there. Like, in terms of tech, there's a lot of opportunities for startups to grow, and that's really fascinating. There's a lot that Kagame is doing in the country in terms of just ensuring that we get a lot of there's a lot of part of it. Yeah. There's a lot of growth happening, and the people are also quite friendly, quite nice. And there's also the aspect of heritage, there's the aspect of Africanness. Like you'll walk around in the streets and you'll find most of the ladies are wearing open hair, they have the afros, they have the African printed clothes, and it just gives you that vibe of like, yes, yeah, you know, it's really nice, and I just love the community. So most of the locals speak the local language, and that's Kenya, Rwanda. So I think for me that was one of the biggest barriers I had, the language barrier, because at times you want to communicate with the people at the shop to get items, and it means that you need to learn the language. But it's a very interesting opportunity, and being able to study with some of the students as well also helps you learn more, because I think language is about speaking and communicating, and it helps me. It also just it translates to how coding is. Like the more you practice it, a language, the better you become at it. The more you try and speak this language and converse with someone, the better you are at it. And let me see, ALU is very diverse. Again, it's really, there are about 40 nationalities, African nationalities represented there. Pan-African school where people have the different views, the different opinions, the different religions, beliefs, and it's just amazing being able to be in that space where you get to share. You have people from the south, guys from the west, diversity in terms of food, in terms of clothing. There's just a lot in terms of growth. And one key factor that I see in all of it is that like we all have this urge and this yearning to make our countries a better place, politically, technology-wise, infrastructure, socially, things like mental health that are in some countries or in most African countries is shunned or looked down upon, are some of those key things that just pop up in AU. You have people striving towards ensuring that people go to the wellness center, well taken care of, and just focusing on you as a better person, and not just for the ladies but also for the guys, because we had this thing once called, I think it was November, it was a month dedicated to the gents and just promoting the mental health awareness, and it was really brilliant. So I think that's really just shaped a lot in terms of just being a person.
Wonderful. Just judging by what you said, I feel like ALU sounds like a utopia for African intellectuals. It's a place that challenges you to seek out new solutions for the problems that you're facing, but in a very African way. And a very African way does not in any way resonate a primitive way. It means just a different, more practical way of looking at things from your own context. And I'm very excited because I know ALU is pretty new. I'm very excited for the developers who will come out of ALU, and I see their work, 10, 15 years down the line. I feel like tech would have changed extremely, because we usually talk about diversity in tech. Who's creating the services and products that are going out to the market? Are they thinking like you? Do they look like you? Do they hold the same beliefs? And if you have a place like ALU that's teaching Pan-Africanism and the growth of Africa, then even the products developed by the developers out of ALU will mimic the same vibe, and I'm super excited for that. Okay, and so for my final question for you, Wasike, what parting shot do you have to, it could be people who are like you, female African developers, or it could just be students somewhere, or you know what, I'm gonna let you pick your own category. What parting shot do you have for the people who are likely to watch this video?
So basically put yourself in a position where you're able to implement what you've learned. Put yourself in a position where you're able to challenge your skills, work with deadlines, work with someone, get a mentor. I mostly get my support off of the people I've interacted with in the past. So if I'm going for a tech meetup, I make a point of interacting with them after the event, speaking to them, getting to learn more about what it is they do, and link up from there. LinkedIn is a very good avenue, and sometimes also joining some of these amazing Telegram groups that keep you as a community on board. And never stop learning. Learning is everything.
Thank you so much. Sorry for that. There's a party going on that we're gonna try and crash later. But thank you so much, Wasike, for speaking to me and for sharing your perspective. It's clearly obvious that she's a very remarkable person. hint. Do I? But all I will say is I came in thinking I was just gonna get your perspective on tech and see what you're doing with your life. But I honestly came out very empowered. I feel like I can do much more with my math tech journey, and you inspire me to do more, like legit. It's not just for the camera. I'll even say this off camera. But thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to sharing your perspective with my viewers.
Thank you so much, Tabitha, for having me. I really appreciate the fact that you've taken time off to actually come and interview me. And I'm always open to sharing advice and learning also. I also want to hear what other guys have to say and views and thoughts about it. Please welcome.
Wonderful. So I'll have everything you need to connect with Wasike in the description of this video, and everything to connect with me, so you guys know where to find me. Yes. So until next time, I will see you guys. Bye.
Adios.